Okay. Okay.
Can you hear us, Coach?
Yes, sir.
We hear you too. So it's now 10:30. We've reached the bottom of the hour. The Jacksonville State women's program. We'll start first with head coach Rick Pietri. Coach, we're going to just have you general thoughts on the season, and then we'll go into some questions from the media. So thoughts on this year's team.
I think going into this year, every year you're trying to figure out how you're going to replace what you lost. We did lose 4 seniors last year, particularly. We lost an all-conference player in Destiny Elliott, and then we lost an Eagle Owl Award winner, which is a Jacksonville State Student Athlete Award, Chloe Long. Chloe was a 5-year player in the post for us, and Destiny swung from the wing and also spent some time in the post. And so those in particular are going to be people that we're going to have to replace in terms of their production, how they helped us. So that's the first thing. And then from a basketball standpoint. And of course, the second thing then is with the people you've brought in, the newcomers, getting them to blend with the veterans and also the installation of what you're going to do. And trying to make sure that everybody's on the same page as soon as possible when you begin playing games.
All right, thanks, Coach. If you have a question for Coach Pietri, if you'll just put it in the comments, and then I will start calling on people. I got one more, and then we'll go to those questions, Coach. In a year that's anything but normal, how do you try to keep it as normal as possible?
Well, that's a good question. We've honestly, we do everything we can in a practice setting. Our practices themselves are normal, with the exception of how we gather. In the past, we would gather in a tight circle. We don't do that anymore. We kind of gather in a large oval. But within practice itself, we try to keep it as normal as possible. However, for instance, when we watch film now, we watch film in a large room with people wearing masks and lots of distance instead of using our film room. And because film is a very important teaching tool when it comes to educating your players and your newcomers about what to do and how to do it. So again, we've tried to keep everything as normal as possible, but it's not normal, and we talk about that regularly. That we deal with each and every day individually as best we can.
All right, we'll go to some questions. First up, we have Mark Edwards.
Rick, am I correct that you didn't, other than seniors, you didn't lose anybody else off your roster, that everybody else came back?
That is correct. So the roster that we had at the end of the season, the only people that matriculated out were our seniors, who were Destiny Elliott, Chloe Long, Brittany Webster, and McKenna Lawrence, who, while she had a year of eligibility remaining, she did graduate from JSU, so she's moved on.
Considering a lack of together time because of the pandemic, has it been helpful that a large majority of your kids kind of already knew what the score was, so to speak?
Absolutely. And, the interesting thing at this point, Mark, is that we've actually had more time together from a basketball standpoint than normal because of the delay to the start of the season, as well as because of the transitional period that the NCAA granted us in September. So we've actually had more time together. Now we did assemble July 20th. We had 3 weeks together, July 20th. Normally that would be 8 for the summertime I'm talking about. But when you factor the transitional period in, we've probably had about the same amount of time that we would normally have, if not more. So now what we haven't done, frankly, is in the past we would have, for instance, we'd open the year up with a gathering. Well, we're not having any official gatherings right now, other than practice. So that's different. But otherwise, at this point we've had a reasonable amount of time. Matter of fact, our players would tell you they've had enough time. They're ready to play somebody. That's what they would tell you.
Rick, could you talk some about Taylor Hawks, because her growth over the past 3 years has been interesting to watch?
Yeah, so Taylor, obviously this will be. She started at the point guard position for us, I believe, the 8th game of her freshman year, and has started every game since. And she is having a nice preseason in preparation for her senior year. I know she is. Honestly, Taylor's got some aspirations of playing after college, so she's very motivated to produce at the highest level. And so, and she's had a good fall. Our team, I have individual meetings with our players about once a month. And in our most recent meeting, which was just last week with each individual, I had them list who they believe were the best 5 we could put on the floor. And unanimously, Taylor Hawks was listed as the person that they would choose to put at the point guard position. So her teammates have a high level of respect for what she does basketball-wise as well.
Who are some of the other leaders that are stepping forward for you guys?
Well, Jessie Day has really, she's been the most vocal, and she brings a tremendous amount of energy to the practice gym. She is somebody who our kids all look to for leadership. She's been very strong from that standpoint, and of course from a basketball standpoint. Jessie is our best returning defensive player in the post, and she's somebody who's capable of making a perimeter shot and a capable ball handler. So Jessie has emerged from a leadership standpoint very well. We've also had Yamaya Johnson has really. I've found her to have really matured over this past, spring and fall. Yamaya is somebody who we've always known was a very gifted offensive player, but has been somebody who, from a defensive standpoint, didn't always bring it to the level that we would like her to, and she's done a much better job in that area. Keana Johnson is somebody who, while she had an ankle issue that kept her out of about 3 weeks of practice, she's back at full speed, and she is somebody, again, plays with high energy, excellent defender, attacks the basket very well, and has made a considerable number of threes, which is not something that she did last year. So those are the people I would say the most pronounced in terms of returners from last year who've made an impact in what we're doing so far.
Jamarius, if you'd like to ask your question.
Good morning, Coach. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
I just wanted to ask, in spite of the pandemic, how are you and the team feeling? Where's your mindset? Is it a positive mindset? There's no setbacks or anything, or how are you feeling?
We for better or for worse, we haven't had any COVID setbacks within our tier 1 group. So our entire organization has been, and from a confirmed standpoint, COVID free. So depending upon who you ask, that could be a good or bad thing, depending upon who you ask. But at any rate, we talk about we take every precaution we can in practice, and in terms of how we function to manage what we're dealing with in present day. And we talk every day about the fact that, listen, we're going to prepare as if we're going to play our first game on November the 28th and every game thereafter. And if there's anything that derails that, we're just going to adjust and manage it. Some of the parameters that have been suggested by the NCAA in terms of, 1 positive in your tier 1 group means that your whole team is shut down for 2 weeks. I think that's a little strong. Nobody asked me. Nobody cares about what my opinion is on that. We're certainly hoping, because the problem with that is, you could go your whole year COVID free and still not play 6 to 8 games because of what might happen to somebody else. And so, I just wish there would be a different way that we could go about things that still would be safe. I think, you look at other leagues that they've managed in the real world and still have managed to play games and and extract the people who are dealing with COVID. So we'll see. You know, time's going to tell. What we talk all the time about is that we're just going to continue to function in a normal manner until we're told we have to function otherwise.
Yes, sir. Also, I'm looking at the schedule. Your first 3 games have a home stretch. Then December 9th, 2020 on a Wednesday, you play against Georgia. To me, it's a huge deal. It's SEC. You know, how excited are you with getting an opportunity to play against Georgia? How big would that be to win?
Right. Sure. Well, I mean, listen, our kids are always excited whenever we have Power 5 teams on the schedule. It's just, that's a normal reaction. You know, we have represented ourselves well when we have played teams from the Power 5 in the past. And, you know, I expect we'll represent ourselves well this time. You know, we've had 2 occasions where we've actually come out ahead and won those games since I've been here. We beat Alabama my second year here, and 2 years ago we beat Ole Miss. So, but you know, so I expect that our kids will be excited to play when that time comes, and then we'll bring the best we have and see if that's good enough.
Also, Coach, I have another question with the OVC conference. I see you have great teams, Eastern Kentucky, Murray State, Austin Peay. You know, who out of the OVC, obviously the OVC is very important to win as many games as possible. But in your opinion, who on the schedule is the biggest deal to play?
Well, when you look at the preseason coaches poll or prognostication, if you will, you know, you see Belmont and Tennessee Martin at the top. You see Southeast Missouri, I think, was preseason pick 3rd. Those are the teams. You know, SEMO, of course, won the conference tournament. You know, obviously, it's your desire to do everything you can to climb to a higher level than you did before. Last year in the OVC, we tied for 5th and got the 5th seed. So we finished in the top half of a 12-team league. You know, our objective is to climb that ladder and go from being a top half team to a top 3rd team. And that's our objective, and what we're going to try to accomplish. And, you know, listen, this is a very strong league, very well coached from top to bottom, and that can be displayed by the fact that there's been a lot of continuity in the coaching staffs in our league. We only had 1 coaching change in our league this past year. So, you know, listen, there's a lot of good coaching in this league. There's a lot of good players in this league, and everybody who is not at the top is doing everything they can to get themselves there, including us. We're doing everything we can to try to get ourselves there.
We're going to go next to Mike Paris. Mike, your question.
You mentioned earlier about longer time to get prepared for the season. A, does that help with chemistry? And B, is it good, or can it be bad that you've had this much time as well? Get ready to play.
Well, you know, listen, I think our players would tell you it's bad because they're ready to play somebody. You know, I would tell you it's good because we've been able to install things and do it at a more gradual pace than we would to try to acclimate our newcomers. And I think that's been a positive. I think that the fact that our newcomers have had more practice time to get acclimated to how we do things, I think that's a really good thing. So, you know, I don't know that we need another 3 weeks to prepare for a game. I'm not going to lie to you about that. But nonetheless, we got work. You know, there's still things to do. There's still work to do, and we still need to refine who we are before we play somebody in a game that counts. You know, the fact that we're not going to get a scrimmage, the fact that we're not going to get an exhibition game, the fact that the first time we play and put the uniforms on, it counts for real. That's a little bit of a shock to the system. It's not just our problem. I mean, it's everybody's problem. But that's a shock to the system that you don't have any quote unquote tune-ups when you're used to having them, you know, but listen, you just have to, that's the times we're in. The NFL had to do it. Other leagues are having to do it. You just manage the circumstances as they are. And that's what we're going to do.
One other thing, schedule-wise, your non-conference schedule was a little bit tougher to put that together with all the things that were going on as well.
Well, you know, it was and it wasn't for us. You know, we kind of had it set up. We did have to, you know, we had a tournament, for instance, way back We were planning to go out to California to play in a tournament when COVID hit. That we dropped that. Everything then we tried to make everything localized. And then the OVC expanded. We went from 18 games to 20, so we had a full schedule. And so then we had to drop 2 games. You just look. The schedule we have, we had it put together at the time, and so we're just playing with what's left after the adjustments have been made.
We're going to go to Mark for a question and then Teddy. So Mark, your follow-up.
Can't hear you, Mark. You're muted there. There you go.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. You brought up an interesting thing about stability. Your coaching staff has stayed pretty much the same for quite a while now. Could you discuss that and kind of what it means and what it's meant to you?
Well, I think it's really important from a standpoint of just cohesion. There's everyone has an understanding within our program of who to go to, who's going to provide you with what from a service standpoint. Our staff's job is to serve our players in the best way we can. And the roles of our staff are pretty entrenched, and everybody knows where to go for what. Our staff also has a high level of understanding of what we're doing. And so I have a high level of trust in them to instruct our kids, to pull them to the side when it's necessary, to help them, and they're going to get the same message. I think at the end of the day, when your coaching staff can deliver the same message from top to bottom, I think that's really important. And so the fact that we have had the cohesion we've had and the consistency we've had as a staff, I think that's worked very well for us.
Teddy, we'll go for you and your questions.
With the NCAA tournament being canceled last year, and then there's obviously just uncertainty with everything. I mean, I know circumstances are weird, in terms of not being able to play those exhibition games, but how good is it just to be able to take the floor at the end of the month?
Well, no, like I said, our kids are literally, it's time for them. It's time, under normal circumstances, we'd be playing right now, under normal circumstances. Obviously these aren't normal circumstances, but so our kids are ready, and so again, as a staff, the onus is on us, me as the head coach, and our staff to do everything we can to keep our kids engaged on the practice floor to continue to get better. We do have to improve. Who we are as a team today is not going to be good enough in January. We do have to continue to improve on a daily basis. And so that's something that we'll continue to work on and work with, understanding that we still got almost 3 weeks before we play somebody. So again, it's on me as a head coach to do everything I can to keep our players engaged and keep them invested in improving.
And with Kyra Williams, I apologize if you already mentioned her, but how good is it to have a local player, on the roster? I remember watching her at Jacksonville. She was really good. And where do you see her fitting in this year's team?
Listen, it is nice to have a local player. My thing is, honestly, I'm going to recruit the best players we can find, and if they happen to be local, so be it. And so, Kyra had an outstanding season this past year in junior college at Wallace Hansville, and so we offered her a scholarship right after frankly, a week after we were eliminated from the OVC tournament. We offered her, and she chose to come here. And listen, Kyra is a kid who brings a lot of energy, plays really hard. Newcomers always, when they join my program over the years, this is my 21st year as a head Division I coach. Maybe it's 22nd, I've lost count. But at any rate, I have stopped predicting who's going to pick up our system faster than another. It just happens organically. And so Kyra, her effort level's been great. Understanding all of our concepts is something that she's still working on. And but I've told her this in my individual meeting with her last week. Everybody always figures it out. It's just a matter of when. And I think when Kyra does figure it out, I think that she can be very productive for us.
We got about a minute or so left with Coach. If anybody else has a question for him. Well, Coach, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much, and best of luck to your team this season.
Thank you. Appreciate it, folks. Thank y'all.
Everybody hold on. We'll have Taylor Hawks, senior guard, sitting down and joining us in a minute. So we'll have her start off with a few basic questions, but if you have something for her, just let us know in the chat and we'll get you queued up. Hi, Taylor. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You can hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. We're going to start with a few basic questions real quick. Just start. What are you most looking forward to this season?
Really just to start playing. I think, we've been preparing and practicing since July. So the adrenaline and energy is there. We're all just ready to start playing and really just get more accustomed to each other.
And then follow up, just what do you think is the hardest adjustment maybe you've had to make since March, getting through the summer and getting to this point with everything with the pandemic?
I would say really just finding a gym to work out in and get shots up in the weight room. That's really been the biggest thing because, everywhere, every place has closed, every gym. So, that's really been a big problem for us. And then I would also say, just trying to continue the social distance, wear a mask, and really trying to get all the girls together in one gym so we can, get used to each other.
Has this made you closer with your teammates because you had to bond when you necessarily weren't physically in the same place together for a while?
Oh, definitely. We had a lot of Zoom calls over quarantine, FaceTime, and then once we got to school, we would have movie nights, we would go out to eat. So yeah, I would definitely say this has really made us a lot closer.
All right, we'll go into some questions here from our media. We'll start first with Mark Edwards.
Could you talk a little bit about where you did find places to work out? That sounds like that must have been a difficult thing for you guys.
Oh, well, I had a little backyard gym outside of my neighborhood. So I just had a basketball goal, and then I would just shoot back there. And then, it would kind of be hard sometimes because the ball would roll down the hill and, it just took a lot of effort. And one of my high school coaches, they would have me go into the gym whenever they could. So yeah, that was really, really tough.
Based on what Coach Pietri said and what you're saying, I gather you guys are really excited to start playing games. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you?
12. But yeah, we're really excited. I feel like we've prepared. We've really put in the work and just working extra hard and just trying to stay ready, just stay in the moment and just trying to get better.
What's it like for you in your fourth year, and really your fourth year as a starter? Is there anything different for you this year?
Oh, definitely. The leadership role is a huge difference. Being the senior, I have to be that voice, that leader on the court, off the court, and just, trying to be the same consistent player that I am because my teammates feed off me. So, I just try to be there for them each and every day.
We'll go next to Mike Paris.
A couple of questions. First, follow up on what Mark just asked you about. You're pretty quiet. So has that been something for you to be a leader, to be vocal? Is that something you've had to work on from that standpoint?
Well, yeah, I am quiet, but I feel like the message still gets across. I'm not the person that kind of yells. So I would pull them to the side and just be like, hey, we got to do this or that. So I would definitely feel like, yeah, that has been a big adjustment for me. But each and every year, I feel like I have gotten better with using my voice and getting that message across.
What part of your game have you most improved on in your 4 years, you think?
I would definitely say change of speed and my agility work, just working on moving laterally was the biggest thing for me, and just trying to get more consistent with my decision making.
We'll go next to Jamarius. Your question?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, Taylor. How are you? How is everything? Um, I pretty much asked the question to the coach already about the scheduling and everything. I just wanted to know, who are you looking forward to playing this season? Like, who is your biggest opponent that could supposedly be a challenge to you and the Gamecocks?
I feel like every team on our schedule is a huge challenge because all of our games, they've had pretty good seasons in the past. So I think every game will be different, but also a challenge. And before conference or dealing with our non-conference, I would feel like Georgia would be a huge game for us because me, Keana Johnson, and Kyra Thompson, we're all from Georgia. So I feel like that would be a huge game for us as seniors and just trying to get that Power 5 win.
You also mentioned you're very excited. You and the team are very excited to get back onto the court to be able to play again. How excited, how excited is the team not only to be able to get back onto the court, but with the fact that everything has been going on, how does it feel to be able to play the season this in spite of the pandemic?
Well, I think we're not taking it for granted. I think we're just taking it one day at a time, trying to stay prepared and just bring energy every day. And I also feel like, because of how our season ended yesterday, that has really motivated us throughout the whole summer. And because we couldn't really start our off season in June, we would still think about it. We would talk about it and just go over things, what we have to do, like what went wrong during our end of the OVC tournament. So that has really motivated us and just to keep us ready for that.
We're going to go back. One follow-up from Mark Edwards.
Taylor, since you've been at Jacksonville State, you've been one of the players that Coach Pietri, almost from day one, has depended on heavily. On top of that, off the court, you're an excellent student. How in the world do you find time to manage all of this?
It's really just a mindset, like, for instance, if we have a road game, I would try to do my work the night before or the day before we leave, just so I can focus on the game and being prepared for that. So really, I just really had to focus on time management, and really it started sophomore year. Like, I used to be terrible at my time management, but as time went on, I knew I had to get one thing done and couldn't do things at one time.
We got time for one more for Taylor if anybody has a question.
Well, if I could follow up on that, who has given you some good advice about managing your time as a college student and a college athlete?
That's tough. Really, I would say my academic advisor. He has really helped me with my classes, telling me how different each level class has been and what to expect and how much time I need to spend on what class and how much time I need to spend on another class, depending on the level of class it is. So he's really been a huge help to me these past 4 years, and that's really where my success has come from.
Well, one more, Jamarius. Maybe time for one more quick question, and you can ask it. I think you're on mute, Jamarius. There you go.
You hear me now? I'm so sorry.
You're good.
So playing basketball growing up, everyone loves playing a sport. When you hold that basketball or hold that football or something, I just want to ask, who is your biggest influence on you playing the sport of basketball? Like a Michael Jordan or a LeBron or anyone in the WNBA or anyone? Who's your biggest influence?
I would definitely say LeBron James. Yeah, I didn't really start playing basketball till elementary, but I really didn't have the love for it until my middle school, 7th grade year. And that's when I really started watching the NBA and following LeBron James and what he has done on the court and off the court. And he's just really been an impactful person. And like I really try to mock myself from LeBron and how he carries himself, how he takes care of his body, and what he does for his family, how he's always there for his teammates. So yeah, I would really say LeBron James.
Well, Taylor, thanks so much for joining us. Great job, and best of luck to you and your team this year.
All right, thank you.
All right,